Alright, Assassins. So if you grew up on Assassin's Creed like I did, you probably know the one thing that the AC community has been begging for is a game set in feudal Japan. Well, folks, the wait is finally over. Assassin's Creed Shadows is here, and honestly, it was absolutely worth the wait. I've been playing a review copy on PS5, so thank you to Ubisoft. Also, they did not see this video before I posted it, so all opinions are my own. Starting with the story, I'm going to do my best to avoid spoilers here. This story had me hooked from the start. It plays out just like a movie with two protagonists, and I was hesitant at first because usually when you have more than one main character, somebody gets the short end of the stick, there isn't enough screen time, somebody is kind of But, however, I can say that this game did a great job with both characters' development. Yasuke's story begins with him being brought to a foreign country by slave masters, and in a business transaction ends up getting his freedom and becoming the pupil of one of the most powerful men in Japan. Under his wing, Yasuke trains and becomes a samurai. Now Naoe, on the other hand, is a native of Japan. Her story begins with her going on a mission that failed, leading her to be attacked and seriously injured, sending her on a quest for vengeance. Now, both character stories are told through several flashbacks, which were done well in my opinion. And like I said, I was drawn into this story from the beginning. I personally really like the flashback format because instead of playing through the slower beginning part of a typical story like most games, you would jump right in and learn about the characters as you go. And y'all, I cannot iterate this enough. This game plays out like a movie. There is some absolute cinema in this story. So I did reach out to my community to drop questions that they wanted answered. And one of the main questions I kept getting: can you play as Naoe or Yasuke throughout the entire playthrough? The short answer, no, you cannot. I know, wait a minute, stay with me. Your first 10 or so hours are going to be played solely as Naoe, who eventually runs into Yasuke, and then the game opens up fully and you can switch at will. I won't lie, it was a tough 10 hours. I was wondering, when is Yasuke going to show up? And right as I was burnt out on Naoe, Yasuke shows up, and once he does, it all made sense. It all made sense. I stopped questioning the process. I let Ubisoft cook, and everything came together. Y'all trust me on that one. Now, once you have both protagonists unlocked, there are some quests specifically for one character or the other.
Now I should return here to practice Kujikiri.
But for the most part, it's dealer's choice on who you want to play. Now, as far as gameplay, there's a lot to unpack here, so this is going to be a long one. TLDR version, I enjoyed the gameplay. They added some new things to keep things fresh, but they also did not try to reinvent the wheel. It's still Assassin's Creed at its core. You'll fight enemies, conquer outposts, and parkour your way through this, but with a fresh coat of paint that, trust me, it just works. This is by far my favorite of the RPG style Assassin's Creed games. I really could not get into Odyssey or Valhalla because they felt way too much like RPGs with assassins written on it. But Shadows, they finally found a happy medium. No more of that damn eagle. Having not only two protagonists, but two protagonists that play entirely different from another is a game changer, and it makes for a balanced experience. You know how games have like those stealth missions where it forces you to change the pace? Think MJ's missions in Spider-Man series. Well, this is the opposite for me. It's like you'll be sneaking around as Naoe, and I'll think, let's switch it up a bit, and then you go in as Yasuke and completely demolish everything. Fantastic changes of pace. I love what the team did with this. Combat wise, there's a ton of variety between Naoe and Yasuke, with each weapon having its own finisher moves and special moves that you can level up and maintain through skill trees. And speaking of skill trees, they function as you would expect. You level up in game through conquering outposts and missions, and then you upgrade skills. Like I said, they don't really try to reinvent the wheel here. Naoe is very stealthy, OG Assassin's Creed. Yasuke is just full on samurai, just going in guns blazing. The parkour and movement of Naoe is great. She moves very nimbly, she flips off a building. I love that they added improved stealth for her. And Yasuke, on the other hand, like I said, he's just a tank. He runs people over, he breaks through doors, he slams folks, he kicks them, he beheads them. He even can break smaller barriers around the environment. Another big change for me is the actual world that they put this game in. This world immerses you in with a scout system. Instead of showing you where to go, it gives you details like clues, and you can send scouts to those clued areas and help you check it out. You can also sometimes help random strangers around town who will then offer you information on a potential treasure, or become one of your scouts. Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Nugget. This is Yo Nug Gaming. Here I love to cover the latest in video game news, reviews, as well as tech. If those are some things that interest you, consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my videos. Two more big changes that I love was the introduction of the new home-based building system, where you can build your base by acquiring materials around town. This allows you to do things like upgrade your weapons, lose your wanted level. There's a lot of fun things you can do with the home base. And one of my personal favorite abilities in any game is when they allow you to change the appearance of your gear. I'll explain further. You know how in those games where you find a nice looking piece of gear and it's leveled so low that you have to pick up something else that doesn't look nearly as good? Well, here, if you find a nice piece of gear that's low level and a good piece of gear that's high level, you can change the appearance of the high level gear to look like any other piece of gear that you've had. I'll show you. This hood that I have right here is a high level, but it doesn't look as good normally. So I can change the appearance to this cool rice hat. And you can do that for any equipment that you find in the game. So for those who want a more realistic experience, you can turn on expert difficulty, which makes enemies smarter and actually look up on rooftops. I'll show you. This is me without expert difficulty. See how I'm running around? They can't really see me on the roof. However, this is me with expert difficulty on. Enemies are much more observant. They notice me no matter where I'm running to, and I actually have to go prone to stay out of sight. All in all, I guess what really brings the gameplay together for me is just how beautiful Japan is. I had an amazing time going through this open world, and I think for me, that's what matters most. Can you get me lost into a world and keep me coming back for more? And Shadows did just that. Now let's get into performance. Like I said, I got a review copy on the PS5, and it held up extremely well. The only glitch I ran into was sometimes you kind of get stuck in the bushes or bamboo trees when riding on horseback, but Ubisoft sent out a patch for that. Now, the performance test that I personally always run is trying out the PS Portal. Now, the remote play on the Portal for some games is unplayable due to the millisecond delay, so I tried Shadows on the PS Portal and the game was smooth. I was still able to parry and play the game normally, which was phenomenal because I was hooked. And I ended up taking this thing to work and playing. I was even playing this in bed. I couldn't put this game down. Now, one small thing that really surprised me in games that normally doesn't surprise me in games, the music. Now, there are a few Yasuke scenes where I literally damn near got up and started dancing because it was so lit. Like for me, normally music is what it is in video games. If it's great, cool. If it's not so great, I don't dock points for it. But for this game, they had some fantastic musical scores.
Why have we stopped?
Like I said, this thing was a movie, bro. So I got to give respect where it's due and shout out Ubisoft for the music. So we've reached the part of the review where I go over constructive criticisms. There's a few nitpicks I had with the game, nothing too crazy. Firstly, for me, I'm 50-50 on the whole level above the enemy's head and certain areas kind of being locked behind the levels, or you could like see the levels everywhere. I understand why they do it, but for me, it sort of breaks immersion. And I personally don't like the idea of being pigeonholed into only doing certain missions, my level, or certain outposts, my level, or else I'm basically going to be one tapped. It's like, it's not necessarily a con, it's just a nitpick. I understand leveling up, but it's like I'm Yasuke, you know, I'm already this big, strong dude, but then there's some random farmer who's level 50 and he can just one tap me when a normal farmer my level I can kill. And I get it. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm used to the old school Assassin's Creed before they start doing like the level stuff. So it's kind of, not a con, just a nitpick. Also, I like the idea of the new scout system and investigating. However, I got lost a few times and I just end up going with the guided exploration mode. The scouting and the new way of exploring is cool, but it can get old really quick. But thankfully you can turn it off, so it's not a full-on con, it's just something to look at. And lastly, I love the world of Japan with Assassin's Creed. However, I wanted a little bit more in terms of random events or side quests. I feel like they absolutely nailed it with the main story, but a lot of the side stuff really didn't grab me the same. It left a little bit more to be desired, but again, nitpick. All in all, AC Shadows is a W. This game is a breath of fresh air to a series that really needed it in my opinion. And this is by far the best RPG style Assassin's Creed game that we've gotten from Ubisoft. Whether you are a returning fan like myself, looking for a new spin on the RPG series, or you're a fan jumping in for the first time, I am confident Assassin's Creed Shadows will go down as one of the best Assassin's Creed games ever. That's my take. If you guys enjoyed this review, make sure you like, comment all the things down below. Leave some questions if you have them, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.